So, whistleblowers are moral, but not ethical. And exploiting tax loopholes is ethical, but not very moral. Isn't that right, Tom? Where are my files, Tom? I need those files, Tom. I know I'm on the tail end of this Pikachu hype, but it's taken me a while to digest my thoughts on this one. Well, that, and I made this Wendy Pikachu meme for a totally different video that I don't know if I'm ever going to actually put out there. And, it just felt right to reuse this for this conversation. How could I not? Serendipity at its finest. If serendipity had an ADHD problem. Anyway, you've probably seen this picture. If you want to dumpster dive deeper into the 2025 McDonald's Pikachu promo drama, I recommend watching Kira and Opossum Bud's videos. I'll link them down below for all my 2027 viewers. Rather than recap the events, what I'm interested in today is a discussion on what's ethical and what's moral. Not to pick a fight, not to change minds, just because these thoughts have been gnawing at the back of my brain since Prismatic, and this McDonald's fiasco has felt like a summation of the state of the hobby this past year. But before I ramble on too much, I think we need to get on the same page on what morals and ethics are. These are my definitions based on my understanding. Please feel free to correct me in the comments, but to me, ethics is basically just following the rules. It's a set of guiding principles decided upon by a societal group. And for me, that's the big key there. Different groups and different organizations can have different codes of ethics. Okay, so what about morals? Morals are the personal. What's right and wrong based on one's own judgment. Morals are often influenced by society, the same way one individual is influenced by society. But more specifically, morals are usually influenced by one's culture, one's personal history, and that internal sense of justice and fairness. It's much more abstract when compared to ethics, because unlike ethics, which are ultimately decided and then codified by the group, morals are felt and learned or discovered through experiences and shaped by the individual for the individual. When we understand ethics and morals as two different things, I think it brings some insight into the divide in the hobby. What I've noticed are collectors calling out scalping behavior and those alleged scalpers turning it around and calling collectors broke Timmy. I'm sorry, broke Timmy. Huh, that's weird. Did you guys hear that? Anyway, one side of the argument is that reselling on day one is just life, bro, get used to it. And any upcharges pays for the reseller's time and reflects the market price. I would argue that, yeah, technically, under the rules of capitalism, even scalpers can be ethical. Wild. But moral? Yeah, I don't think so. Never mind the food waste argument. The most valuable thing this hobby brings to me personally is the connection it allows me to feel with other people in this hobby. Picking up cheap singles after school with the kids just because I want to make memories with them. Opening packs as a group and using those cards to make mini decks for a homebrew monstrosity loosely based on the official TCG. Mailing out cards and gifts or sharing photos of neat pulls with friends that enjoy that kind of thing. Any quote-unquote value scalpers claim to provide just doesn't outweigh the damage their actions do to the community, in my opinion. but that's an opinion based on my personal moral compass. Greed, in my opinion, often comes with the loss of opportunity for those around you. The opportunity for a collector or a group of friends to stumble upon packs in the wild. The opportunity for families to build memories getting McDonald's after school until the kid finally pulls their personal chase card, whatever the chase card is for that kid. I can see a much stronger argument for actual business owners and even to an extent reasonable investors being both ethical and moral, because what they take from the hobby, the margins they run their business on, the stock they keep for long-term holds, it doesn't have as big of an effect on the average collector's opportunity for connection. And that's where I think the broke Timmy argument started, and why it became a sentiment to throw at the average collector, or collectors that had the audacity to call out scalping behavior. Scalpers can, technically, argue that their actions are ethical. Not every action. Not this. But it's a mental gymnastic that can be done under the right circumstances. Morality, though? Morally speaking, depending on who you talk to, because again, morals are developed by and for the individual, scalpers don't have much of a leg to stand on. They can argue for the system, but it's much harder to defend the actual actions, especially when there are so many people doing this. It's much easier to call people names than it is to sit with the knowledge that you're literally pulling some Team Rocket stunts, and not in a cool or funsies kind of way. But all of this begs the question, where do collectors fit? At least when it comes to products like the McDonald's Pikachu, where any listing you see on eBay was 100% snagged by a scalper. And with the added food waste, allegations of people getting cases from employees or resellers finding ways to work around buying limits, really the same behavior we've seen since Prismatic, I can't even say these are technically ethical scalpers. Like the thought experiment we did in the beginning of the video. These are just scalpers in the purest sense of the word and with all of its negative connotations. So where does that leave collectors that really want this Pikachu card? Well, if my understanding of ethics and morals is correct, and please, please, please comment below if I'm wrong or if I'm missing something, but my understanding is morality is, to an extent, in the eye of the beholder. If you refuse to buy this card based on your principles, I respect that. If you feel that when buying this card, you have enough degrees of separation between yourself and this fiasco that you're comfortable with that purchase, I'm not here to change your mind. But if you're still trying to work out how you feel about buying this card, I would say this. 1. There will be, and are currently, other Pikachu cards out there that are just as cute. Ask yourself if you actually want this card, if there's other cards you want more that are in a similar price range but with less hype, if an artwork of this card put on your wall would scratch that itch and make you feel like you don't need to own the actual card. Or ask yourself if, honestly, do you want this card or are you just down with a bad case of FOMO? 2. If you feel guilty for wanting this card, like this Redditor, that's how you feel, and that's fine. To help reconcile that want with that guilt, picture 2 scenarios. In scenario 1, it's a year from now. Pretend the prices have gone up so high it is well beyond your means. Would the regret you feel then outweigh the guilt you feel now? For scenario 2, imagine the opposite. It's still a year from now, but in this scenario, the hype has died down. The prices have dropped. Would you feel better about buying the card then? Is making resellers hold on to cards that didn't boom in price for that amount of time enough of a punishment or karma or whatever to balance the moral scales for you? Or in this scenario, would you rather they be stuck with boxes of super cheap cards that they can't sell indefinitely? Is there a time frame that could make you feel like all karmic debts have been paid and you can feel good about making that purchase? This should be a hobby that makes you happy. If one really cool, adorable, whatever card makes you feel a certain way when you look at it, maybe find a different card or a different part of the hobby to focus on. In my opinion, as a thought experiment, scalpers can be technically ethical, but this ain't it and this ain't moral. This video isn't about trying to convert anyone to my way of thinking. This video was about me trying to figure out what I think. And while I don't see myself buying it anytime soon, I definitely see myself hanging a picture of it up in my kitchen. Maybe I'll make a little paint by numbers for you guys and we can all do one together. Tag me on Instagram if you do something like that. I would love to see it. Let me just decide if I want to make a Instagram account just for this or if I'm okay using my private Instagram for YouTube. I promise I won't make a whole video just to decide on that. Anyway, I think where I've landed in this thought experiment is that scalpers as a concept can be technically ethical, but in action, and as we have seen here and here and here, I don't think this is ethical and it sure ain't moral. On top of that, I imagine that living with that cognitive dissonance of feeling like you're a good person and then doing this, that's gotta cause some discomfort, right? Or is it just me who overthinks things? I legit have an anxiety disorder. I overthink everything. So maybe I'm way off base, but that's my speculation. So, has my rant that no one asked for earned me a guilt-free Pikachu promo card? Yeah, I didn't think so. No, wait! What about a like or subscribe? Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. Sorry this video is almost 2 weeks after the initial events took place. I'm not a very timely person when it comes to this sort of thing. College classes have started up for me again, and fingers crossed, hopefully this will be my last semester. I'm taking extra classes so I don't have to take a partial semester in the spring, which is great, but it's also a lot of work. And I have a couple weeks to drop a class or two if I decide that it's too much all at once. We'll see how this goes. whatever you're doing, whatever you're up to. I hope you have a great time. Bye!